Hi, this is Eloy Ortiz Oakley, and welcome back to the Rant, the podcast where we pull back the curtain and break down the people, the policies, and the politics of our higher education system. In this episode, I close us out on Season 1 of the Rant. I want to take a moment to thank all of our listeners. We've had people from across the world tune in to the podcast. Your support, your comments, and your continued engagement with the Rant has made this effort all worthwhile. So thank you, and keep listening. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit subscribe, leave us your comments, or continue to follow us on your favorite podcast platform. I also want to thank all of my guests. They've all jumped into all the topics that we covered. They brought their expertise and their passion and made our interviews a great success. I really enjoyed the conversations that we had in Season 1. And again, I want to thank all of our great guests for taking the time to share their passion and expertise with us here on The Rant. We touched on a number of important topics, many of which are still working their way toward a resolution. We began the season by talking about the SAT and the ACT. And in light of the recent SCOTUS ruling on race-conscious admission, this issue is even more important than ever. It's really up to college and university leaders that truly care about better serving low-income learners and learners of color to once and for all end the use of standardized placement and admissions exams. These tests have no place in higher education today. They're a relic of the past. They have no bearing and give us no credible information on whether or not a student will be successful in college. So why do we continue having them? They are arguably discriminatory in nature. So I call on higher ed leaders throughout this country to end the use of these placement exams, particularly in light of the recent SCOTUS ruling on race-conscious admissions. We need to continue to do more to get more low-income learners and learners of color into our colleges and universities to have a quality post-secondary experience and reduce the barriers that we artificially place in front of them. We also cover topics such as the policy initiatives that the Department of Education has been undertaking, and they've been undertaking many, everything from third-party servicer definition, revising their Dear Colleague letter on bundled services, gainful employment, and of course, the recent iterations of the Biden administration's debt cancellation plans. And though the department is still finalizing language on many of those issues, I applaud them, and in particular the Undersecretary, for taking the time to reach out to constituents throughout the country and gain their input. It's really important that we continue to pull everybody together in the post-secondary education marketplace and gain their insights and inputs to create better policy, better regulation. One key theme that came out of my interviews with my guests was the need to balance consumer protection and innovation in the marketplace. Consumer protection is so critical right now, and people from across the country are asking for more protection because we've seen what happens to learners when they're given bad information, when they're given misleading information. We've seen the impact to the debt levels, the student loan debt levels in this country, particularly for those learners who were sold a bill of goods and nothing ever materialized on the other end of that, or learners who began their higher education but then couldn't finish because they were not supported or the cost was too high, and they're saddled with the debt that they acquired along the way. We need to do more to support consumers and ensure that they have transparency and clarity on what they're signing up for. At the same time, it's important to have a marketplace where we have players of all types, for-profit organizations, nonprofit institutions, third-party intermediaries, and our traditional public colleges and universities working together to foster and support innovation that better serves learners of all backgrounds and that extends the promise of a post-secondary experience to many more Americans across this country. It is then that we will have the country that we're hoping for and the economic mobility that every person in this country deserves. So we'll continue to talk about those issues and continue to think about the balance that must be struck between policymakers and the players in the marketplace. In Season 2, we will begin talking about things like skills-based hiring, a topic that's been in the news quite a bit lately. And as we think about the role of employer, post-secondary institutions, and third-party intermediaries, how we begin to bring those worlds closer together and focus hiring on skills, not just pedigree. What's behind those degrees? What is it in the skills and competencies that a learner is obtaining that will help them increase their odds of landing a great job, pursuing a great career, and having the upward mobility that they deserve? We'll also get into the challenges and the opportunities that are going to be created by the dawn of generative AI. Generative AI will bring a lot of changes to the post-secondary education marketplace, and we'll have a chance to talk to some of the leaders in that space and see where this is all going and how learners will be impacted and how workers will be impacted. So I look forward to all of those conversations in Season 2. I hope that you join us. Hope that you continue to follow us. And remember to hit subscribe, leave us your comments, and follow us on this YouTube channel. And of course, on all of your favorite podcast platforms. Thanks for joining us on The Rant. Thanks for all your support in Season 1. And I look forward to joining you in Season 2 here shortly. Take care.